What's going on, everybody? We are live. I got two of the Cowboy YouTube greats with me on here. One of you guys introduce yourselves, and the other one can introduce yourself. But I know a lot of people know you guys anyway.
Go ahead, Tuck.
Yeah, I'll start, man. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy J Tuck, representing Cowboys fans only. Y'all can follow me on Twitter, of course, at JTuck151. Instagram, TikTok. Follow me on TikTok, man. We going crazy right now on TikTok for some reason. And then also, of course, CowboysFansOnly.com. What's going on, fellas? How y'all feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good. Feeling good, man. Look, I'm glad you guys accepted my invite, man. Because we have a lot of interactions with each other, and you two are some of the most knowledgeable Cowboys fans. I could text Tuck and be like, "Yo, this is getting on my nerves right now." He'll respond in space. We've done shows and stuff together. So yeah, I always love your work, man. How's the channel going now? So have they stopped with the strikes or anything?
Yeah, so I stopped getting strikes, and everything's A-okay. So I'm hoping in February, I think the 16th, the strikes come down. But it's a blessing in disguise because it kind of helped me kind of figure out what I want to do and make myself do better. So make sure you guys follow me down below. That's my Twitter handle and also my Instagram handle. You guys can follow me there.
Yeah, definitely, man. Look,
I wanted to kind of chime in off of what you said, DMV. Like, a lot of people don't understand, man. This Cowboys content world is like a brotherhood. They don't know how much we really talk behind the scenes. Like, a lot of times we give a full-on show just off a phone conversation. Me and Rome, Cowboys fan talk. Salute to him. He called me on the phone yesterday. We're going for 2 hours. We're just like, why didn't we just go live?
Yo, it's actually funny because Foots was going to come on here, but he had some plans or whatnot. I think he's doing a mock draft or whatnot. And Foots, shoot, we talked about 2 hours one of these days, and it was just like we should have just put this on the show,
right?
Right. It is what it is, man. So look, let's jump to some of the meat and some of the stuff we talked about. I know, I didn't even have this on my schedule to talk about, but we were just talking about the Ed Water thing, and we talked about offline. We talk about things, and then we should have put it on the show. I didn't even plan to talk about that, but apparently there was some things exchanged. I don't know too much about it. Any of you guys want to take lead on it, and then we can kind of discuss it?
Go ahead, Tuck.
Yeah, so, of course, we all chimed in when the news released this morning that Jerry Jones was going to do a surprise interview on 105.3 The Fan, so we'll probably talk about that here in a few. But after it, I kind of left the radio station running, and I forget the name of the gentleman. I apologize because I don't listen that much to 105.3 The Fan because I'm here in Kansas City. So, but he was pretty much saying that Ed Warner was saying how 105.3 The Fan and some of the radio hosts there, they tiptoe around questions when it comes to interviewing Jerry Jones. They let him off easy, saying that this is a Dallas Cowboys syndicate. Like, you're not going to get real news and real answers from Jerry Jones. And so the guy was really just defending himself about his credibility, which I definitely understand. Like, I tweeted, like, whoever this is going off, like, salute to you, bro, because I think a lot of us in this media game, man, we take our credentials seriously. It takes a lot of work. I was saying the same thing this morning, like watching hours of draft film, having conversations. So a lot of people want to discredit your effort that you put in, especially like on Twitter and social media, but it's a lot of work. And so the guy was really just standing up for himself, but not only for himself, his colleagues at 105.3 The Fan when it comes to Ed Warner. Now, granted, I do say that Jerry Jones does have some control over the radio station, but he's Jerry Jones. He has some control over all of Texas, Jerry, it's Jerry Jones. And so, but I think when you have those interviews with Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and some of the players, you have to kind of walk on eggshells because you can't really push as hard. It's not like you're at ESPN or you're a journalist sitting at the press conference. It's a little bit different environment, so you don't want to disrupt that relationship. And I personally feel like Jerry does open up when he's on the radio station. You kind of get that kind of laid back. I mean, he was just blabbering at the mouth about Sean Payton a little bit, but kudos to that guy. I forgot his name. Like I said, I apologize, but he was just standing up for himself and his colleagues.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll own up to this opinion. I've said, look, I know the dynamic that goes on with that radio station. I do think that Steven and Jerry, I'm more looking at Steven. I feel like, they need to be asked a little bit tougher questions. But again, I'm not naive in knowing the situation. Like, listen, they own part of that radio station. They know that if they get grilled, they're not going to even talk.
Right.
So, I wish they could, ask like, hey, you said that this is your like. I think I said on Twitter, I said, I'm not asking them to grill them and like just hate on them. I'm just saying maybe you could be like, hey, why aren't we doing this? And just let them talk. And that's what I like is like, I feel like sometimes you'll get like them say something. But overall, I think that as a journalist, not me, but like if you're a journalist or someone that professionally works for the Cowboys in that department, you shouldn't be saying that about your fellow people that work in the media. Because there are fantastic people that work at 105.3 The Fan, and they definitely do a lot of good stuff there. So I think that it's unfair.
And we've seen cases where some journalists don't have the same pool that they had under Mike McCarthy that they had under Jason Garrett. And so it's a different temperament. So any journalist knows you got to manage those relationships properly. And if you come out and piss Jerry Jones off, man, you might be on ND looking for a new job. So it's like,
and do you think that maybe Ed might have been, because Ed, we know that he's a vet in the game. Do you think that him being part of the old media, that there might have been a little bit of jealousy, depending on, I guess, how much access he had to Jerry Jones?
Yeah, sure. I think that's what the guy mentioned. That's what the guy mentioned, that, it's not their fault that 105.3 The Fan gets the interviews with Jerry Jones and they don't get the access. But like I said, it's Jerry Jones is right there in Dallas. It's the voice of the city on the radio station every time. Even before I started this journey, when I touched down in Dallas for a game or just a visit, I turn right on 105.3 The Fan because I want to chime in and find out what's going on with my Cowboys and my Mavericks. So it's the voice of the community. So, I don't know what Ed Warren is really being salty about, but it just is what it is. But Jerry Jones, when he's on the radio station, like, he nips stuff in the butt. Like, they tried to poke a little bit, and he's like, I'm not talking about that. Like, we're not giving them competitive advantage. I'm not talking about Kellen. I'm not talking about Dan Quinn. Like, he shut it down. So we're supposed to continue to suppress him? Like, no, you're going to, like, no, like, all right. They even tried to sneak in Jimmy Johnson. Like, Jerry's like, nope.
Yeah. And the one thing I like about 105.3 The Fan for me is I like the fan talk because it's not really biased. I think they really keep it real sports. They keep it professional. And to me, I feel like I told you guys before, they get the most out of Jerry Jones. They get the most up-to-date stuff. Like, if I want to keep up with the Cowboys, I'm on 105.3 The Fan for the most part. And that's how I really discovered Jeff Kavanaugh, to be honest with you. And, a lot of us love Jeff Kavanaugh and the work that he does.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of those guys.
Brian brought us. Yeah.
I love it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so salute to 105.3 The Fan. So, continue to do what you do. I just tell anybody, don't let no one discredit your work, because I know, and we all know, what it takes to do what you're doing at a high level.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Trust me. Like, man, we'll probably talk about it here soon, but I'm like 45, 50 prospects in the draft, bro, and I'm so tired already.
I was about to you that far in it already? Man, I haven't gotten it.
I'm probably 25. I'm probably 25 people deep right now. I just got done my second mock draft, so.
See, last year was easy because our season was kind of so you were already peaking, but this year we wasn't looking. So it's like, man, like, I was watching some film today and I was like, whew,
and there's no quarterback. So it being a weak quarterback class, it makes it a lot tougher because like, normally it's about maybe 3-4 guys that you're pegging, okay, they're gonna be top 10 because of their quarterback. Now it's like, oh man, like, I might not get this guy, he might not fall. Might not get a CD or a Micah. Might not be a sexy pick this year.
Right.
I mean, it could be. I mean, again, the draft is weird. I think that we were kind of having those conversations. Even I know 2021 was weird, but like, you started seeing some prospects move around, which happens every go around. So I think that you'll see some guys move around. So
yeah, definitely. All right, so let's get to the next topic that we talked about. That kind of been it was a hot button issue. I didn't want to talk about it, but Dez versus Tad. Thoughts? Let's start with Space.
I've already kind of expressed my opinions through the Twitterverse, and I've said I feel like both of them had some level of immaturity. Not trying to insult either one of these individuals. It's just that there's a point you kind of have to stop. Like it's one thing where you're professional, like, hey, like I think I understand where Dez is coming from. He wants to help Dak. But at the same time, and I kind of get where Tad's coming from, because I think he feels like, oh, so you're saying my brother ain't good enough? And some family members are like that. I get it. But then when you start getting into the personal DMs, I'm like, no, that you killed it for me. So for me, I feel like this is something that if you were that upset, you could have personally talked about this stuff in private with your transgressions. But, for me, I get it. We don't know what the dynamic was between him and Romo, so I'm not going to go down that route. But again, I think it was pretty childish. It got it devolved into it being childish. That's all. So.
Yeah, and I think it was one of those situations that a lot of us go through on social medias where you kind of post a comment thinking nothing on it, and some random from the middle of nowhere, Idaho, pour some gasoline on it and causes a huge fire more than it needed to be. So, I feel like Dez didn't mean any harm. That's just from my perspective, where I've been hearing people talk to Dez, like Dez was just talking football amongst the fans, and that's the thing about Dez Bryant that makes him special, but it's a gift and a curse. Like, he likes being amongst the people. He likes working out at 24-hour fitness and Lifetime Fitness, and being like one of us. And so he's just sitting back watching football, like all of us, just tweeting and answering questions and talking football. But all of it took was to enter Dak Prescott and Tony Romo in the same sentence, and someone's like, "Aha, got him. What do you think about this, Tad?" And tag Tad, and caused this huge explosion. And, I feel like Cowboys fans were in a situation, y'all, where it's like we had to protect Dak Prescott due to all these trolls and haters and so much. Now we kind of got into a level where we overprotect, where you can't say anything about Dak, so it's like this weird situation. Like, even from a content creator standpoint, it's just like, I want to make this video, but I can't because it turns out to Dak hate porn, and all these trolls are like, see, he can't throw, he can't, and then people are like, oh, you don't believe in him. You're just like, damn, I'm just saying he missed a few, and so it's just a weird situation to be in, but I don't think Dak or Dez mentioned or meant any harm by it. Dez is always supporting the Cowboys. He's at every game. And I say this, we know Dez Bryant, if he wanted to take a shot at Dak, he would have took it. Like, he would have took it and not hesitated at all. So I agree with Space. There has to be a point where it's like, all right, enough's enough. But it was just elevating. And I think it's due to not having a relationship with Tad, not Dak. If it was been Dak coming back at Dez, I think Dez would have squashed it. But it's just like, bro, who are you? You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's kind of what I was
like
thinking,
that.
Why only in Dallas Cowboy land is this even a topic of discussion? Right. I was getting online and all I kept seeing was Tad this, Tad that. Like, who the hell is Tad? Like, no disrespect, but if you guys didn't come from the same, I'm not going to say what I was going to say, but I mean, I'm going to keep it PG now at least. But I mean, for the most part, if you guys weren't brothers, I mean, would this even be a discussion? It really wasn't that big of a deal.
Right. Like, if it was Dez and me, like, would it be, like, nobody cared. Like,
exactly. And like you brought up, you was like, oh, if I want to get, if a fan or somebody came to you and said, oh, you need to hit up Law Nation to get better at your stuff. Like, well, all right. Well,
yeah. Shoot, yeah.
Sure, I'll definitely do that.
Yeah, salute to Law Nation. 80,000, like, damn right, I need to hit up Law Nation to work on some stuff. and I do, like, I talk to Law. And so that's what I'm saying. If Dez would have said, man, Dak needs to reach out to Josh Allen, Mahomes, and figure out how to get out on A level, because that's what elite quarterback looks like, then I would have been like, all right. And so,
all right, man. Yeah.
All right, bro. All right. That was wrong. But it's like, bro, but it's because of the name he said. If he would have said John Kitna, if he would have said Peyton Manning, if he would have said Tom Brady, I don't think anyone would have took it to heart. But when you toss Dak and Romo in that same sentence and you shake it up,
Yeah. So. I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. It's just regular fan talk. People, right. I mean, people just taking things out of context, mad because you guys been on teams before where
right,
the littlest thing because you lost a game could just elevate into something that shouldn't even be.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So right. And my thing from Tad's perspective, what I don't understand was, why was the energy different at Dez? Like, Kurt Warner dropped the video. Say nothing. Drew Pearson dropped. So why was it just like, as soon as Dez said, it was like bam, bam, bam. Like, it makes me believe, like, was there something else behind the scenes? You were just waiting for him to say something so you could jump on him, because Dez is not the first person to criticize Dak Prescott.
I don't even look at it as criticism. I actually think he came from a place of like you said once before, of trying to help. Everybody else is tearing him down, saying you can't do this, you can't do that. He's just saying, hey, maybe you should hit up Romo to get some point or on the offense on getting your guys the ball in pressure. I mean, not in pressure situations, but in situations like the playoff. We've all been saying it.
Right.
I'll ask you guys right now. Did you guys ever say, why are we not getting CD the ball? Why are we not getting Amari the ball?
Yeah.
Were those questions that you asked yourself during the game?
Yeah. And hell, I said the same tweet that Dez sent like almost 2 hours before he said it. I just didn't say that name. I said Dak needs to reach out to John Kitna and get another perspective on breaking down these defenses. Thank God I didn't mention those two names.
Right. And I feel like, and this is kind of my thing is like, and this is why I didn't really touch on it much on my end of things, was because I felt like, kind of to say over again, it felt childish, number one. Number two, I understand where Dez is coming from. I get where Dad's coming from. Hey, like you're talking shit on my brother. And again, I stress this. We don't know that workplace dynamic. I always like kind of look at it as an office setting. Like you don't know, like it would be like, okay, you're asking the guy that you replaced how to do their job better, but you don't know if like you like them or not. Like we don't know that. And so I don't want to like say that, like if I knew the dynamic, I would have a certain perspective on it. But I could care less. I think that the topic of conversation really should be, okay, can we get someone in here to push Dak to the next level? Because I know with him being him, he wants that. And I feel like we're kind of in that Tony Romo thing where it's like, okay, he's fine. We don't need anybody. Let's just he wants that. Give it what he wants. So
yeah, I agree.
I think that Dez does understand the dynamic better than anybody, better than Tad himself. Really,
right?
He's been in the room with both of them. He's been in the room with Dak being the quarterback. He's been in the room with Tony. He's been on that team when they switched the guards. Honestly, he was there when they cut him. I mean, anytime Dez has wanted to really throw a shot at anybody, he's done it.
Right.
He's never done it at that, really, in my opinion.
Right.
I think that was probably soft, Dez, in my opinion.
Right. It was real soft. I mean, because honestly, what Troy Aikman said, it was kind of a little bit harder than what Dez said. So it's just, But I think when you look at it from a football perspective, we all noticed the issue when it came to Dak Prescott the second half of the season. So I don't care who he needs to talk to, someone needs to address it, because obviously it's not being addressed in-house, and it's a clear issue. If you go back and watch the film, also watch the breakdown that Kurt Warner did, it's going to make your skin crawl how many opportunities was missed versus the 49ers. So
Dez might have been like, read between the lines, guys. Hey, this is the same system that we've been running. And really, Romo was kind of running the show when he was here.
Right.
That's kind of what I got was like, there is that's the thing, is that Kurt Warner film session, like, yes, there were mistakes made by Dak Prescott in the entire, like the whole execution part of it. But then when you look at the concepts that we're trying to run, that is what got me, was like, we can't be running these concepts or these types of things, because when you look on tape, this is easy stuff to figure out from an opposing defensive perspective. So look, we're going to figure out what's going to happen this offseason, if they're going to do any coaching changes, not like at the top level, but like in the position coaches. I don't really care. I kind of just brushed this under the rug. So,
I don't think it was a shot at Dak at all. I think it was a shot at Kellen, just like everybody else has been saying. But understand, Kellen was Dez's teammate too. So maybe you didn't want to throw him under the bus by saying, hey, yo, Kellen really messing up out there.
Because here's my question I want to ask people. If Dez had tweeted, damn, our offensive line's getting our ass kicked tonight, would that have been a big issue? Would someone have been like, man, you need to text Zach Martin privately? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that's why people are blowing it all up. Like, with this, he should have called Dak. Like, what do you mean call? Like, who wants to hear that? If you're Dak Prescott, hey, what's going on, bro? This is Dez. You should listen to Romo. Like, no one wants to hear that, bro, after a loss. So it's like, I just think social media blows everything up a little bit, and we were kind of bored that day, and we got some excitement.
I mean, I was one of the guys that said that, but the reason I said that was for the context of what it devolved to. Was I was like, that's where I was like, okay, you should first off be like, listen, I know what you were. That's where you had that conversation, like.
After the response, it should have been like, all right, bro, just call me so I can explain. You know what I'm saying? Like, it should have got
exactly.
People are writing articles about that, and it's just like, come on, bro.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so
Cowboys,
real issues are, guys. And
we have bigger issues than that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. But we're not going to talk about an issue now. I'm going to segue into another point. This is actually positive news. Micah won Rookie of the Year, defensive, and I think he won overall Rookie of the Year. So, what are you guys' thoughts on that? You guys happy? You guys,
I am elated.
Happy, but
dude, I'm elated as the Penn State guy. I love the fact that my guy came in and won Rookie of the Year. So, look, I'm excited for Micah because I feel what I was worried about was the Cowboys were not going to use him as that hybrid guy that I knew him at Penn State to be. And now that they were using him, like, I know people are like, oh, he's not that good in cover. I'm like, well, if you teach him, he's going to be fantastic. And now that I'm seeing this guy doing things I've never seen, it's amazing. Like, I'm so excited because now you have a solidified guy that you can properly build the defense around. And what's awesome is that not only could be that linebacker that could cover, like, he's just this unique player. And to throw at Lawrence Taylor talks, like, he's playing a different type of level.
Yeah,
he is like building his own brand of player, like, model. And that's what I love about him. And I hope the Cowboys don't make him a full-time linebacker, but use him as a rusher and also as a linebacker. Like, that's what they got to do.
I think Jose said it best, man. It's Micah's team now. might be changing to the guards, man. Definitely. Yeah. I'm all right with it, bro. I've been wanting this for a while. Remember Jerry said I want a war daddy?
Yeah,
War daddy.
Exactly, man. That's exactly what it is, man. And yeah, it's a testament to not Mike McCarthy, but Micah Parsons, man, for all the effort that he put in. We heard so many stories about him going in early, working with Dan Quinn. Like, from the moment he became a Dallas Cowboy, he wanted it, and it showed on the field. It showed in his, way at camp, man. When I was back there at Oxnard, I'm like, this kid is just different, So yeah, kudos to Micah Parsons, and I'm excited about what the future brings for him. And yeah, honestly, I think he should have got Defensive Player of the Year as well. So that's a whole different discussion. But yeah, the accolades, everything comes with
sacks, though, man. Which they probably should have been on the same defense, but
Listen, I wanted to. I need to pat myself. I need to pat myself on the back. You go look at the video. I called it. I said he was going to be the Rookie of the Year. So
I had him at 10+ sacks, though. So since I know on Twitter we're pulling Micah Parsons tweets today, but it is what it is.
I was like,
yeah. But yeah, man, like I said, hats off to Micah. We couldn't ask for a better draft pick. Like I said, he's just been a spark plug to not only this team but the city, the fan base. And hopefully it continues. And I'm with y'all, man. Like, build around Micah, bro. Like, if we go in the draft, it's like, no, what? We ain't forget about the offense. We ain't did enough for y'all. We're gonna get you a big, nasty defensive tackle.
Yeah, we're gonna get you some big uglies.
Yeah,
we're gonna get you another backer.
Thing around Micah moving forward. I'm all for it, man, because this kid is gonna continue to work. And he's like, I call him this, but it's like the Des Bryant of the defense. Like, this person who's out there competitive, wants to win, has this drive. And I love Micah Parsons, man. So kudos to Micah Parsons.
Yeah, and Micah Parsons has definitely got to be doing backflips right now for 2 days in a row because Dan Quinn,
lion tamer,
back, baby. Hey, look! Oh my God! I literally yelled. I'm working from home. I'm checking my Twitter. I hope my boss ain't watching this right now. But I just screamed like, "Yes!" People, the people who are here is like, "What's wrong?" Nothing. Everything's great. Everything's great right now. Dan Quinn is back, man. I want to hear you guys' initial thoughts on when you first heard the news and what were you doing and how did you feel?
It felt good, man. It felt good. I've been kind of since the 49ers lost, man. So we needed some good news. And honestly, I thought Dan Quinn was a goner, y'all. Like, all these interviews kept popping up. You kept hearing second interview, the Denver's job if he wanted. Then the Giants opened up, and that's always been his hometown team. And I'm like, man, how do we keep him? But to hear the news, like, man, I was just like you, DMV. Like, I had to freeze for a second, double check. And to see that we have Dan Quinn back, man, it's a huge boost to not only our team, but for our defense specifically. And also Micah Parsons. Like I said, I call Dan Quinn the lion tamer. As good as Micah Parsons is, just as a talent, you have to give kudos to Dan Quinn to be able to unlock that talent. And we kept hearing, thoughts about Zimmer coming in and some of these other defensive coordinators. I'm like, man, they gonna have Micah on some BS, bro. Nah, man. Like, I need Dan Quinn. So it's good to kind of hear he's coming back. Hopefully that's going to keep some of the defensive players back in free agency, and we can kind of just run this thing back, because I feel like what I saw this year defensively, it was refreshing.
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
like, I'm like looking at my phone. I'm like, huh. I'm like, oh shit! I was so excited because I thought he was gonna get the Denver job, and then I saw that they got Nathaniel Hackett, which I'm mad about because I was looking at him for a possible head coach later if Mike is gone. So, God damn it, Denver! But I'm glad that he's back, because the biggest thing and the reason I'm gonna give a point that Jeff Kavanaugh likes to talk about is traditionally defenses don't do well from year to year because of the turnover with the staff, the players, and stuff like that. The fact that the Dallas Cowboys have managed to retain Quinn, not only that, but extend him, which is awesome. I don't know the details of that, but it's good for Micah. It's good for all these young guys, Osa Odigizua, Trevon Diggs, Nashawn Wright, Kelvin Joseph, all these guys. Because with all these young players, not only that, Dan Quinn continues to have an imprint on this defense that we've been wanting. We want these fast guys, and someone that is not like an old sea lion like Rod Marinelli, where it's like, okay, yeah, he can get the best out of your defensive line, but he's because you can see what he wants, and you can see that he's happy at his job, which is more important. I'm so happy that, and it's a boost for your defense because they're like, yes, I'm getting the guy that I like back, and and you saw it in that Saints game how the players felt about him, and so I'm really excited to have Dan Quinn back, because guess what? Now you're going to end up getting possibly more addressing that defensive tackle, because he likes the beefy defensive tackles. So now I'm like, yes, finally.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, and plus it makes it easier for the young core, as y'all mentioned. It's like, imagine if we got a new defensive coordinator. He's like, actually, I really don't like this Kelvin Joseph kid. I want to go it's like, no.
Then we starting over.
Right, yeah, we're starting over, and you're half 3 defensive coordinators in 4 years? Like, it's just too much turnover. So this defense needs some continuity. I feel like young players coming in, they know Dan Quinn's philosophy. Now you just have to work on it throughout the offseason and get ready for next year. It's not just going to be this big sporadic change where you're like trying to learn a new system, new thought process. And so huge win for the Cowboys. I'm interested to see what was the conversation though Jerry had though. That's what it's,
Yeah,
this is the biggest thing they needed to address this offseason, and they did it. So that's the first step.
And Tuck, you brought up a very interesting point about, another guy coming in and, I don't really like this guy. Like, that's what happened with Tyrone Crawford. That's what happened to a lot of our defensive players, because they were on second and sometimes maybe third contracts. And we kept changing defensive coordinators, changing philosophies. And, some guys got lost in the shuffle. So hopefully, we have something good that we can build on, because normally those guys are gone. And it's actually funny, isn't it quite fitting that Eberflus is the reason we're getting Dan Quinn back? We hated to see him leave, but we love to see him get that Chicago job. I know I did.
Right. I'm just looking at it, man. Like, why would Dan Quinn want to go to Chicago? It just didn't make, like, Denver had me worried and New York had me worried. Chicago, I was like, but I was like,
the culture fits him though. Like,
yeah. I mean, cold, gritty, tough defense. Like, but like, bro, like, you going to the bottom of the AFC North,
especially after you just got done, like with Atlanta. Like, why would you want to go?
Like, you'd have been better off just staying at the Falcons, damn near. So it's like, all right, Brian had me worried because, like I said, he grew up a fan of that team and that Denver team. I was like, all right, Denver kind of makes sense. But well, whatever. Jerry sold him on something, so he's back.
Yeah. Definitely. And here's something else that can make us even happier. Kellen Moore is a finalist for the Dolphins job. Oh, I didn't mean to laugh, but Kellen Moore, we talked about it earlier in the show, how we thought Kellen Moore is a bit of a problem. What are your concerns as far as the Kellen Moore situation right now?
It comes down to this. It depends on how Mike McCarthy and Jerry, really Jerry wants to go about it, because Mike McCarthy, I feel like, is like, I don't really want to be calling plays. I'll rather let Kellen take the fall for it. And the part that bugs me about that is that as a head coach, you should have that decisiveness to know, like, Kellen, what are you doing? Stop. Let me do this. I don't think Kellen is an idiot. I don't think he's stupid. Like, I think he's a smart guy in the sense of, like, he I'm not saying like he knows what he's doing, like in terms of like the play calling, but no, like he got there for a reason. Not saying that he deserved it, but like I think he's an intelligent guy. But in terms of like his football voice and understanding the coaching aspect of things, he's still super, super young. Yes. You know, the fact that he got his first coaching gig at like 31 or something like that, it's like, you know, and you're in this meshed like Garrett system where it's like, what the hell? Like, but I will say this. The reason I would like for him to leave is you get that final imprint of the Garrett era off your offense out of here. It's out of here. And that's what I'm looking for. Now, I already have a name that I talked about on my channel. Ken Dorsey, the Bills quarterbacks coach. He is the guy I'm looking for. He has connections with Mike McCarthy, with them in the San Francisco 49ers when he was coaching there. And I liked what I saw with how he helped Josh Allen develop, because he also helped Cam Newton develop. So I would love to see Ken Dorsey, I think that's it, Ken Dorsey here in Dallas, because not only would I think he would know what to do to help Dak, but I think he like you could see how the Bills offense has operated really with him being the passing game coordinator. And so I that's a name I'm looking out for, but Doug Nussmeier would be another name I'm looking for in-house. That's the more likely option. And I don't know.
So Tuck, would the FSU in you allow you to root for Ken Dorsey?
If he helps me get the Cowboys to a Super Bowl, absolutely. You know, I turn a blind eye on that Miami. You know what I'm saying? But it is. Yeah, if he helps me get to where we try to go. Now, if he comes Kellermoore 2.0, then I'm going to be on him. But yeah, I agree with Space, man. It's about getting that Jason Garrett, Scott Linehan DNA finally out of this locker room. Now, here's what kind of worries me, and I said this Monday when me and Law did a show. You know, sometimes that DNA, you had Jason Garrett, you had Scott Linehan, you had Kellen Moore, and who does our quarterback favor? Like, you know, so I want to get that out of Dak's blood as quickly as possible. Definitely. And I feel like, you know, when you watch this team, you never really see a dynamic of Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott. Like, you never see them talking on the sideline.
I honestly would like more Mike McCarthy, because I mean, we've seen him whoop our ass on the other sideline.
Right. Yeah.
With Matt Flynn.
It's like, so you see Doug and Kellen having full control. Yeah.
I just saw people say that Ken Dorsey's going to get hired by the fuck, man. He's asked to take him.
Where's he going?
He's going to the Giants, apparently. Those assholes, man. Mike Kafka is my backup.
Hey, look, Mike Kafka. Hey, I'm glad you said that name, bro. That's the Andy Reid tree, man. And I mean, look, I mean, it is what it is. Those guys know what they're doing. Right. Andy Reid knows what he's doing. He knows how to get it out of his staff, and
a different philosophy. That's what we need in the house. It's a different way of thinking. It's like with the weapons that we have, it should not be a system over players, like a scheme over players philosophy. Like, no, you get Amari Cooper the ball, you get Dak, or you get Zeke the ball, Tony Pollard the ball, CeeDee Lamb. Like, it's really that simple. But I felt like what the teaching is you take what the defense gives you, and so of course, from a defensive perspective, I'm gonna give you Dalton Schultz and Cedric Wilson. I'll let you try to beat me that way.
Exactly, bro. I'll dictate to us, like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So the defense dictated what offense did versus us being the aggressor, having the identity, and really establishing the dominance. We didn't do that, so we need to get someone in house with a different type of philosophy. Maybe Kellen Moore goes away and does an incredible job elsewhere, but I just don't see it happening in Dallas because he's too comfortable. He's too protected up top. And his way of thinking just isn't going to change. So, come on, Dolphins, come on, pull on.
I would say, but again, like I would say, the biggest concern though is the unknown factor of what the front office is looking for. Because again, like there are guys out there, like I mentioned, Mike Kafka, who would be my second option. There's a couple other guys out there, but the thing that I'm worried about is, okay, if you're doing in-house promotion, like what is it? Doug Nussmeier came here in 2015, but you know, I know he coached with the Rams years ago. Right. But like
still in the DNA.
But it's still in the right. Yeah, still DNA. The problem is, like, if I see Doug Nussmeier now, it's like, okay, so then Mike, what the hell are you gonna do? Like, okay, sure, you're getting a different guy, but it's still that taint.
Same philosophy.
Yeah. So I'm really hoping that now I'm gonna just say, listen, if Kellen Moore stays, don't be shocked. if Amari Cooper ends up leaving. And I hate to say that because I don't think it's Cooper's fault.
It's definitely not. What's the common denominator? That system and bouncing receivers up out of here. Like they're the problem.
Yeah.
At what point do we realize, all right, man, maybe the system is just the system and it's good for padding stats, but it's not for, really just getting your guys the ball that really can make plays. T.O.
I want to ask you guys, Joe Brady, what's your guys' opinions on Joe Brady? Do you take him? Or nah, do you think he's, I feel like he got canned from Carolina way too early because that rule is so freaking stubborn. Like, oh, we want to run the ball.
I mean, it's hard, man. Like, I don't know. I just don't know. If I had to put money down, I feel like Kellen Moore is going to be back. Like, I feel like there's been too many situations where Jerry has golden goosed him. He had the conversations last year going to Boise, which would have been an incredible opportunity for him. Something pulled him back, and I feel like there's a backdoor conversation where if something was to happen, Kellen Moore might got slid into the head coaching position. Now, Sean Payton, of course, tosses a huge wrinkle and all that, so but I feel like they really wanted to get Kellen Moore primed to be in the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys because the puppet master wants his strings on somebody. And who was that one puppet they got? Is Kellen Moore. So they want to kind of keep him in house. But man, something has to change. Like I said, what happened this year offensively, the fall off the second half of the season was just uncalled for. Like it was just simple stuff that we could recognize sitting in our houses. Like how simple was to break these cover 4, cover 2 coverages, and they did nothing about it. And like Space said, if you go back and actually watch the Kurt Warner or watch the film versus the 49ers and see so many wide receivers runs in the same area that the zone coverage was, it just made zero sense. And so why didn't we had so many different head coaches with so much experience in house? Why didn't someone just say, you know what? Let me see the playbook real quick. Let me see.
I wonder if Tad was in Kurt Warner's mentions talking like
no.
You know what I'm saying? Like
not at all. Not at all. Someone tweeted him that. I think he blocked him, but no.
And that's kind of to touch on this before we move on. I think that's the biggest thing is like there is this the reason I get more frustrated with Kellen more than like Scott Linehan and those other guys is that Kellen shows me moments where it's like, okay, like I like what I see here, and then he goes away from that. I'm like, Kellen, my God, what are you doing? Like, and then the biggest thing is then. We want to I get it. Like there are players that need to do their job. Like Dak's got to make those throws. The receivers but then there comes to a point to where when you watch it and you're like, why are we running a play where 2 of our offensive linemen are running hitch routes?
Right.
And I'm like,
right.
And then on top of that, it's like, okay, so what are you telling your quarterback to do? And that's where I don't like the imprint is because not only are you saying this is what we're going to run, I need you to do these particular plays.
Right.
That's where I'm more concerned about Kellen than the quarterback. Not saying that the quarterback can improve. That is where I am irritated with because people, if you put another quarterback in here, I don't care what anybody says. It's not going to work. It's the system.
That's what people understand.
So please, and then you want to be like, well, Dak's a terrible quarterback, but then you want to say Kellen Moore's a bad offensive coordinator. Some people were saying that, and I'm like, so which one is it? Like, something has to give. So I think Kellen's got to get out of here. We need to get this Garrett crap out of here. So
because we sit back and thought
we've ever really worked to Dak's strengths as a quarterback, even the whole time. I think he's such a good player that he's been able to overcome for the most part. But we're not playing to his strengths,
right? And they set nothing up. Like I just thought, all right, y'all, it's playoff time. We are finally going to set up this wide receiver screen. We're going to pump fake and go downfield and finally hit them over the top once they jump. Nothing. Like you're just like we kept saying like, okay, playoffs is going to open things up. They're going to show more creativity. We saw absolutely nothing. Like I said, one of the biggest drawbacks for me from Kellen Moore, we used that play to Terrence Steele versus the Washington football team in a blowout. Why wouldn't you keep that in your back pocket for a playoff game and catch a team if you need a 2-point conversion or we're in the red zone? Like it was just stupidity. Bro. And I feel like when we're smashing
against sorry teams,
when we're playing against bad teams and sorry teams, he's beating on his chest like King Kong. We're airing out, we're running tempo, we're going for it, doing all sorts of things. When we look over there and see a defensive coordinator with some type of pulse, It's like, man, I don't know. So it's like
I don't got the answer. Let me go back to Coach Klein's playbook.
Yeah. I ain't got it, man. Just run a dive on first down and get up out of here. Like, I don't know. Like, he caved in, and I feel like that's my biggest frustration when it comes to Mike McCarthy. You're supposed to be an offensive coach. You're supposed to be a quarterback coach. Like, don't let the ship sink. Like, you should have really reeled things back in, but we didn't see that. So then you have to sit back from a Cowboys fan perspective, which is okay, and say, Mike McCarthy, what is it that you say you do? Like, if you're not calling plays, you're not working directly closely to the quarterback, you're not good at clock management. All right, bro. Like, you're not in charge of drafting in personnel.
I mean, is he in charge of the paperwork, the halftime snacks, or something?
I don't know.
Halftime. I don't know what he's doing.
I don't know. Like, hey, Mike McCarthy. So, I mean, he has to really come out and show his value. But at this point, it sounds like he just wants whoever the offensive coordinator is to call plays, which makes you kind of disposable to think of.
Yeah. And speaking of disposable, this is really what I wanted to talk about mostly than anything, and then all this Cowboys news came up. But positions of need for the 2022 season, we have quite a few free agents out there. I know my guy Space does a lot of research, so I know he came ready with the notes. And
yes, I got my laptop in front of you. So,
so yeah, we'll start with Space, man. What do you think our positions of needs are for the upcoming season?
So to start things off, I touched on this on Twitter. I said, I had the breakdown of all the lists of, hey, here for all the contracts, like my guy Joe Rod says. You have 4 linebackers hitting free agency and 4 wide receivers hitting free agency. And then you have like a bunch of ancillary positions, like a safety, you got 3 guys, offensive line, edge. So I would say your must-needed positions you have to address be your offensive line, your linebackers, wide receivers, safeties, and a kicker. And then as for your secondary needs, like these are needs where it's like, okay, I can see us not having to do anything, but maybe you could still get someone that would be tight end, edge, and defensive tackle. The main reason I'm not super high on tight end is because you have Blake Jarwin, which sure he has his moments, but it comes down to what you value in Sean McEwen. If you believe Sean McEwen, which he, the injury stuff is one thing, but I do like what he brings. Like, he can catch the ball very, he has a good catch radius, but that's my thing is what are you getting in him? And if you are feeling, I don't feel comfortable in that. I would rather go into the draft and grab a tight end because you're getting Schultz back. Schultz is getting $10 million a year.
I would say, or you franchise him, which I don't think is a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea either. I think that it just comes down to, you look at these key guys. You got a couple of these other guys like, Michael Gallup, Cedric Wilson, Noah Brown, Malik Turner, Dalton Schultz. You got Connor Williams. A couple of these other guys are backups, so I'm not really mentioning their names. Randy Gregory. You can throw LVE in there because of how, as a backup kind of guy, he did well. Jaron Kearse. Like you're gonna have to make I don't think this is as bad as like a 2019 offseason where it's like you have 3 of like your number 1 guys hitting the market, but this is still a question mark of, well, what are you gonna do? And I think that the draft gives you some open flexibility, but the Cowboys need to seriously look at what they got in free agency. I haven't really taken a look. I don't take a look for names in free agency until I would say like about 2 weeks beforehand.
I feel like our guys are more important, right? Like, actually, I'm on Stephen Jones' side now, where we like our guys. There are a couple of 1-year guys that I kind of like and how they fit in the system defensively. Defensively, I think we should look in house first, and then go to draft way because we have so many young guys too. So, I mean, definitely offensively though, it's something completely different.
I think offensively, you have fine personnel, except you need to get some offensive line help. I would say on the defensive side of the ball. And even your special teams, I know some people mentioned it, the punter. Like, I think that's an obvious thing. I think they're going to bring back those guys.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
But I don't need to, I don't need to touch on that. But not to go on forever, but to kind of, because I got the spreadsheet, and I see my draft prospects as well, which I'm not going to go super far into that unless we touch on that. But you have options in this draft. And in free agency, it's not as gloom and doom as I would think, but there's definitely things you have to do.
All right, jump in, Tuck.
Yeah, I feel like, offensive line is the most important spot. And I feel like getting that guard position, because I think we're going to move on from Connor Williams. And we saw what we had from Connor McGovern, still wasn't impressed. And so, one of my players that I'm very high on in this draft, and I'm dropping a video tomorrow morning, might be tonight, depending on if I'm staying up, Kenyon Green, out of Texas A&M. Like, one of those players, he can play all four positions. He play right tackle, left guard, left tackle. So he's pretty much done it all. Just a utility piece. I know someone mentioned, Tyler, you dropped the video on Tyler, the center. Now, I was out on Biotis earlier this season, man.
Yeah.
But it felt like everyone just gave Tyler Biotis a pass. I'm like, everyone's talking about Connor Williams getting dog walked over here. I'm like, look at the guy next to him.
Biotis, it definitely.
Yeah. I'm like, all right. So, that wasn't solid at all. But I feel like he kind of got a pass from this offensive line. But me personally, I would like to move on from Joe Philbin. Like, I would try to bring in Mark Colombo, like I said on Twitter.
Yeah.
Get another offensive
or
line.
Munchak from
just someone back in house that could, toughen his offensive line back, because we're getting a little bit long in the tooth. I mean, we know that Tyron Smith is who he is, but is he going to play a full season? Probably not. There's a conversation of what to do with Lyle. Are we going to move him to guard and move Terrence Steele to right tackle? But if you move Terrence Steele to right tackle, the money's a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a lot of things to be considered. Another position that Space mentions, the wide receiver. I think the huge question mark that we're going to go into free agency is Amari Cooper, because you can get out of that contract and save about $20 million. Is he worth paying that much money for 4 targets in a playoff game? I don't know. Now, me personally, I think that Amari Cooper is the most valuable, not necessarily free agent, but player that needs to remain on this roster, especially with Michael Gallup being hurt, because Michael Gallup will probably either move on, maybe he comes back on kind of 1-year prove-it deal to kind of get his notoriety back out. That remains to be unseen, but I don't want to lose Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, and Cedric Wilson all in the same season, because I feel like we're going back to that wide receiver by committee that we went through before we had to trade that first-round pick to get Cooper. On the defensive side of the ball, I think Randy Gregory is a difficult situation. I think edge rushers, they deserve to get their money, and Randy Gregory definitely earned his money, but does he earn that type of money from Dallas Cowboys standpoint, or would you just bring in another rookie edge rusher or another veteran for a lot cheaper? Because I think Randy's going to probably go around 15, 16 possibly. Now, Cowboys have been loyal to Randy throughout his entire career. Will he be loyal to us? Remains to be unseen. Also, Van Der Esch, the linebacker position. I feel like Van Der Esch will be back. I feel like after what he did last year, he'll be a Dallas Cowboy, because we do need some depth at the linebacker position. But the primary guy I'm circling defensively that we have to bring back, and now since Dan Quinn is back, gives me a little bit more, confidence in that. Is Jayron Kearse. Jayron Kearse earns the bag. Yeah. How much you want, Jayron? All right, bro. Just write Jerry said, I'll do anything. I'll pay any amount of money. All right, bro. We'll do that for Jayron Kearse. He's a very important piece, plays at all 3 levels of the defense, even has the green dot in some cases. You bring him back. Maybe you add a Malik Hooker. Corners are cool. Corners are already set. You have Bossman coming back, which will be for his second season. You still have Reggie Robinson and Nashon Wright in the cut as well. So we're good at corner. Maybe bring the safety, but those are the positions that I'm looking at.
Yeah, I read somewhere that DeMonte Casey played 78% of the snaps last year. So he's obviously somebody that knows and is familiar with Dan Quinn. If you can upgrade that, I think that sure, but he's not a bad guy to possibly bring back. And we haven't really talked too much about money, but D-Law could free up a lot of that money too.
And that's where, not to cut you off, I think that's where, if you watch the draft and the Cowboys take an edge with that first pick, now the question becomes, okay, is D-Law gone after post June 1st? Because you could save $11 million after the money hit. And so and I'm seeing these trends, because as I'm doing the mock drafts, and this is before the Senior Bowl, it looks like that you got guys like Nakobe Dean, Tyler Linderbaum, not Linderbaum.
Jermaine Johnson, but it ain't happening.
Jermaine Johnson,
I give up on that. Hey, we ain't drafting nobody from Florida State, so don't give me it.
Listen, I love it, but look, I think for the Cowboys, you're gonna have someone fall, because centers aren't really that loved as much as these tackles. Like last year, the first tackle was drafted a pick 37 in the second round. So like they won't. I don't think Linderbaum's going to go early mid unless like he impresses
It's
that
like you're trying
much.
to tell people. People are like, he's at 5 to 10. Well, I'm like, well, for one, it's 3 months out, and second, he's a center. Like,
right.
I've never seen the center drafted that high.
I was gonna say you're gonna see other guys go in front of him. You're gonna see it happen, and that's why I'm kind of because I've been doing my mock drafts because I like to log them to see what the trend is, and so far the trends are gonna have guys like I mentioned, like a Nakobe Dean, who I wouldn't mind bringing in here. You're gonna have guys like a Tyler Linderbaum, maybe even a Traylon Burks or something like that if you're looking to upgrade it, or rather bring in a versatile weapon. I wouldn't even mind taking a tight end with that second pick. You're going to pet plenty of guys in that second round.
Jalen,
I was going to say Jalen. What is it, Weidermeyer? Or I think that's how you pronounce it. He is my number one tight end. I know people have been talking about Jeremy Ruckert from Ohio State. For me, the reason I like Jalen over him is because Jalen reminds me a lot of that Schultz. Like he's going to be that vertical threat compared to Jeremy Ruckert, where he's kind of like, okay, you're kind of getting that traditional blocking guy. I'm not saying he's not bad. It's just I kind of want to get another Schultz in here, and he would be that if you're looking at tight ends. So, and you got others. So
yeah, you got McBride. You got there's a lot, especially in the Senior Bowl. The Senior Bowl, it's going to be a ton of great tight ends in the Senior Bowl, man. So.
I know. I wish
I want to kind of get out of that Schultz mold, to be honest with you, man, because I need a tight end with a little dip in his chip, man. Like,
yeah, man, to be honest, they were able to, hey, we'll give it to Schultz because he's not gonna break a tackle.
Right. Exactly, yeah. And so, if y'all listen to me last year, but there's some opportunity out there. I mean, I like a lot of tight ends, but I would think tight end maybe second or third round. But yeah, I think the guard in Kenyon Green or Tyler could possibly fall at 24. I don't think they're going to take a center at 24. Like I just don't, because I feel like this team is still high on Biotish, unfortunately.
But they could move back. They've done that before.
Yeah, I mean, and what about Farniak? I think Farniak is someone that could impress, but we don't know how that's going to look, because that could be what they're thinking. Like, okay, maybe we'll draft a guard. And, let me ask you guys this. Would you want, if you would double down at offensive line, that first and second round pick, would you be upset with that? Or how would you? Okay. How do we get the vibe?
I think it would depend on what's left on the board. You know what I'm saying? Because if there is an off linebacker that could, I think that to me is a priority, because I would take that over, Leighton, in my opinion.
Right.
Because I would trust Dan Quinn at that. I mean, I trust Dan Quinn. If he sees a linebacker that he wants in the second round, then that guy can play.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't think Lloyd's going to fall that far, but you could possibly get Dean. I think Dean and Lloyd, y'all, to be honest with you, I know we're kind of going to draft talk, but hey, it's that time of year.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
It is what it is. But I feel like they're going to go a lot higher than what people expect because of the Micah Parsons factor. I feel like teams are going to be so afraid to miss out on what they saw in Micah. They're just going to draft the linebackers, be like, you know what, we'll just go with it. Especially
true, good point. That's an excellent point.
Yeah, and I want to stress this, and to the Cowboys, and I get it that there are needs that we have, but that should not mess with the best player available mentality that this team has been doing over the past 2 seasons, and you're seeing those dividends pay off. Yes, you want to address needs, but at the same time, like, what makes it more weird, and I can't wait to see. That's why I'm very excited to see with Mike back again, because I want to see how does the coaching staff handle best player available at 24. And I was just about to bring up, he is the number one. He is the number one wide receiver on my board as I'm putting this thing together. Even though I would really like a Traylon Burks because of his versatility, because I would like to have that addition. But
that speed is different.
That is where.
So who did you say? Who did you say?
Jameson Williams. Hey, look, I hit you up early in the morning one day, like, yo. Yeah, we might want to get him, man. That's a different dynamic.
Even off the ACL though.
Yeah, that's the only thing at this point, because I think I hit you up before that happened. Now it's like,
because I mean, you could get like Sky Moore. It's like, so there's some guys out there, but it all really depends on what we're gonna do with the direction of our wide receivers. You know what I'm saying? So I You know, you have
if Kellen coming back, like,
I mean,
anyway.
And that's the sad part. It's like, all right, we're gonna get a weapon not to use anyway if Kellen Moore's there. So what's the point?
Right.
I'd rather go defense then, man.
But I would say, like, and I want to address this too. I think many people, like, I know people were upset with CD's drops, which is a valid point of concern. But I think, like, for where he is at this point in his career, for 2 years in, and he's missed time, and I, so far, I think he's had like the most yardage in Cowboys. I think behind Bob Hayes, but like, not that matters, but it just shows that, okay, so CD has shown glimpses of that, and I think what's going to be important is that as he continues to get better, you're going to need to have someone alongside him, similar to how you had to do it with Dez, same thing with Amari, or Gallup, or all these other guys, even before that. So that's why I'm like, I wouldn't be upset if they took a receiver, because, again, like, if he's the best guy on your board, you have to go with that. I'm sick and tired of, like, and I know we got snake bitten with that Garrett era crap, because you get missed on guys like TJ Watt, you missed on guys like what was it? I'm just trying to go back and look. Like, there was plenty of guys missed out on, and a lot of these other guys they just lucked into. It wasn't like they really took them because they liked them. So,
and to be honest, that's what made me a little gun shy on. I didn't think we would take Micah Parsons. I was more so like, I want Slater, the lineman, because I was geared towards, let's go safe. And look, lo and behold, we do need a line, but Micah Parsons was the correct pick. And Mike McCarthy and Will McClay, that brings me to the point that I think that Will McClay, I think that the head coach does. Or the coaching staff has a lot to do with who they're getting, because we're drafting different types of players. We're not getting Boise State anymore. We're getting Alabama. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And that's kind of like, I looked at the schools that they're drafting from too. And I talked about this, it's just like, it's amazing how now the Cowboys are not just being tunnel vision with some of these pipelines. Like, they are going to those power conferences. They're not afraid to do that. And that's what is important. That's how you build a good team. And like with the Micah pick, and because I know I was like, with Rashawn Slater, you plug him in at guard that first year. Then if Tyron moves on, you have options there. And I think that this is the same route that you can go this year. But with the Micah pick, it was the correct pick. I don't care what anybody says, because if Micah's not there, this team is not 12-5.
Yeah.
No, this team is 12-5. And so go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
Micah makes it so that you can, if you need to create money from D-Law's contract, that you could say sayonara, to be honest. Because, I mean, the time that, there was a time where Randy Gregory and him were out, and Micah put the team on his damn back.
Yeah, and I understand that there's that sample size, like, this team's going to look different. Like, every single year it looks different. But when you're going into, with all those young guys you drafted last year, like, you have guys like Chauncey Goldstein, you got guys like Osa Odigizua and Neville. Like, I understand they play in the interior, but point being, you have those young guys that you can build off of. This isn't like we're going into a year where it's like, okay, we already know who's starting there, whatever. So it's extremely important the Cowboys continue to do what they're doing, because this isn't like a quick, this isn't like we need a massive super overhaul, except for the offensive line, in my opinion. But this isn't something that's going to take a while. Like, you can fix this. Like, we just saw what the Chiefs did with their offensive line. You can do this in a year. This isn't hard. But I don't think the Cowboys are going to do anything that drastic.
I just think O-line is the primary. Like, there's a lot of wide receivers that can kind of do what we need to do. One of the guys I'm kind of high on, also dropping a video on, Jalen Tolbert out of South Alabama. So, there's like, I want that fast guy. I think someone just mentioned in the chat to get CeeDee Lamb off of punt returns, and then someone too who can just take the top off of defense. Like, we just never had that burner in the house in Dallas in quite some time. And the way that this offense wants to be ran, you're going to need one of those guys. So
I don't know, man. Look, when I look in the playoffs, and when San Fran needed a damn play, they put Debo ass back there to kickoff return. And
but that was like the key of the moment. That wasn't versus the Washington football.
I mean, look, so let me put it this way, because obviously I think we are all in agreement that the offensive line is your biggest focal point, because your quarterback. Yeah. Well, look, if you're, and like Jeff Kavanaugh always said, if you cannot block a 4-man rush with 5 guys, nothing is going to be easy. So, like, people have talked about, Terrence still has to be on the field. He has shown that you got to get him on the field, especially at that right side. I feel like either way, your right side's fine. Lyle has kind of worn on me because, with the stuff of him not being there, like Terrence still has that mentality where he wants to get back. And, I understand.
He's hungry.
Yeah. And so, like, with Lyle, like, and I've said, like, do you, like, think about trading him? Do you think of moving back to left guard? Like, what do you do with Lyle? Because you can't keep
some money off his deal, too.
Yeah. And so I would say if you want
to, I think, sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I think due to the suspension, there was a void in his contract. Now don't quote me on this, but I think that was the reason why. Remember, it was like 5 games, and he was like pushing that very last game to get that one game back. I think because there was a void somewhere in his contract, so there might be a loophole where the Dallas Cowboys could get out of Lyle's contract and save some money. But from a right tackle perspective of what you got Lyle Collins for, you still got him at an extreme discount. Like they got Lyle probably than what they'll get Terrence Steele for. So it's like.
So here's the numbers here. I just looked at his. So you can't cut him now, but you can cut him post June 1st. So that's if the Cowboys want to go down that route, if they can't do anything with him, you can cut him and save about $5 million on your salary cap. And I don't think that'd be the move. I would think the move for me would be looking for either a trade,
right,
or a possibility that you move him back to left guard if you can't find that guy at left guard in the draft. So you do have some ability to move this thing around and make it better, but I'm still like, okay, like I would still want to draft an offensive lineman mainly because you don't know what you're going to get out of Tyron Smith. I don't want a part-time player on my team as good as he is. I cannot have a part-time player and ruin the continuity of this offensive line. Mm-hmm. So, you got to think about, okay, do you think about taking a guard that, like a Kenyon Green that can do that? Like, I would prefer him to play on the inside though. That's just me. But I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. So right now, you guys can keep the discussion going. I'm a field for some questions or anything. I know a lot of people have been asking questions throughout the comments, and now nobody wants to add. Nobody wants to add. But yeah, I mean, I think that this is a real healthy discussion about the roster and how we move forward and all of this stuff, man. But we talk about O-line. I'm looking at the guys that are left. I'm looking at the lines that are left. Do you guys feel like the Cowboys offensive line, like man for man, is worse? It's worse than the guys that are left?
No. I don't think they're worse. It's just I think they're not playing as a cohesive unit, which is the determining factor.
And so where does that come in? That's where I think Phil been.
And I think that was a lot due to injuries, changes. Like we didn't see our starting online that we went to the playoffs with to what, like this last week of or the second to last week of the season. And so you think of it, so I mean, I think that was the issue, was we just had a lack of continuity with the changes of Connor Williams and McGovern, and then you had Zach Martin out with COVID, and then you had, Lyle out, then Tyron Smith goes down. It's like the only consistent was Tyler Biadasz, So, you think about it from that standpoint, I don't want to, like, you can't look and tell me that the Chiefs offensive line is so much better than the Cowboys, because they're not. It's just, they're playing as a cohesive unit right now, and we just didn't. So, but we got blood in our mouth versus the 49ers. So,
okay, Sugar Daddy 1 Williams. By the way, I feel very uncomfortable saying Sugar. Is our defense good enough to build our offense now?
When I look at the defense, I would say maybe. I mean, I think it comes down to what you do in free agency, because again, you have 4 linebackers leaving this team. Mm-hmm. I would say, like, if we saw a bit more of Jabril Cox, this would completely change how I'm answering this question. Yeah. Like, I think you look at what you got. I think interior, you can use maybe another big guy in there. Mm-hmm. Edge rusher, you can use another one. Linebacker, you need to add, I would say, 2 more linebackers that can consistently be there. You can make Micah that hybrid edge rusher that I want to see. Cornerback, Kelvin Joseph answered a lot of questions. I think it showed that, okay, you know what? Maybe we do got something so that we don't have to take another cornerback, even though I think you should still take a cornerback nonetheless.
Yeah, if Sauce falls, I'm taking. if we get Sauce Gardner falling 24, man.
But I am not uncomfortable with building up this offense again. I think that defense is at a respectable position to where I'm okay with going a couple picks on your offense. That doesn't mean you neglect this defense. You still need to add pieces there, especially at safety, because considering who you're going to see leave.
Right. This should be a quick question because it got asked a couple times. Gina led it, so I'll put it up. Should we trade Lyle Collins?
You want to go?
No, I don't think we trade Lyle Collins. I keep Lyle Collins. One, just because we did have a lot of injuries on the offensive line. So you're able to move him to guard if need be or have him at right tackle, but also gives you a position flex with Terrence Steele as well. So I wouldn't move on from Lyle Collins. I would keep him in-house. That's me personally.
I would keep him for now, but I would kind of consider moving on, I would say, after the June 1st date hits, because I need to see what we did in the draft to justify the answer. If we do take a guard or some lineman or something like that, I would not mind us being like, you know what? All right, Lyle, you can go. We can get a pick or something like that and all that other crap. But if we don't do that, then it's kind of like, all right, then what the hell are we doing? Just keep them there, you know. But you gotta have Terrence Steele on the field either way.
Yeah, definitely. I'm with that. Like at this point, you don't have to cut him. You don't even have to do anything with Tyron, because Tyron, both of those guys, you can create some money with their contract. So I think you're looking more so with post June, I can take the best players available, and so that's where I'm at with that. I wouldn't trade him. I keep him for now, you know, at least.
Plus, who's going to play fullback in Kellen Moore's scheme? Like, you need.
Oh my God, the dude gets a lineman to play fullback and sends them on routes. Like, that is wild.
I mean, hey, you know, as much as like you don't really need a fullback. Like, I would prefer.
We have one though. We have an undrafted free agent who was clearly just a pure fullback. And like, nah, we're gonna go with these backup offensive guards, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
This might be more of a question for space, but I don't know. Randy Gregory, what's the price tag?
So I like to use Spot Rack, or however you pronounce it. I use it as my reference point for any form of price. So far, their calculated market value for him is $13 million. Now, do I think he's getting $13 million? No. I think that his price tag is between $8 to $12 million, depending on what team is that desperate to get him. I think that he'll be a bit, I think he'll be a bit more lenient with Dallas. So I think if you're like trying to re-sign him, maybe you're looking at between $6 to $10 million, and you kind of have to overprice it because that's how this thing works. I'm looking at these other contracts, guys like a Preston Smith, a Leonard Floyd. You could say that he's not that type of player. But again, it's about what are these guys getting paid, and he's in statistically that same type of category. As much as that's what the truth is. So I would say between 7 to 13 mil.
Gotcha. All right, we're gonna take one more question because I know we're in overtime right now, and it's a Friday night, and I know Tuck's wife is probably like, "All right, man, what you doing?" Nah, but hey, look, one more question, D Lunatic. What are you doing with D-Law and his 28 mil cap hit this year? Interesting question. I'm going to go with Tuck on that one.
Go on, Tuck.
Is he frozen?
Oh, is he? It looks like he is frozen.
Let me see. I think he might be frozen.
Yeah.
All right. So
let me take a look at this. I gotta pull it up on my laptop because I don't like spitballing when it comes to these contracts. So you guys are aware. So you entered the point in time where he is in his potential out. Now we're in that end game, and I see the cap hit of $27 million. So your options are post June cut. You save about 11 million. Oh, there he is.
Yeah, I dipped on y'all.
The wife came in. That's what happened.
She pulled cut off the internet. Yeah. But the question now becomes is like, okay, am I comfortable with paying DeMarcus Lawrence this much money, $20 million a year, in that cap hit? And for me, it like, you saw how this defense played without him, and I kind of was like, okay, you don't really need him, but like when he got back, it wasn't like he was playing like trash. He did help the defense.
Yeah.
But again, like you mentioned, DMV, Micah Parsons threw this entire defense and how he looked at it off its rocker. Because now you're kind of looking at DeMarcus and you're like, maybe we don't need him anymore. You kind of have this new leader of the defense. So you could look to trade him, but that contract is probably going to lead to a release if you want to get rid of him. But I don't have a problem with keeping him, though. I really don't. I think you give it, especially if you don't have an answer there. So
I think it just depends on how strapped we are for cash to sign back guys that we need defensively. We need J-Ron Curse. We need him. I honestly think we need him more than D-Law. And I know that sounds crazy.
No, you're correct. That is the correct statement to make.
Yeah, and he's much cheaper to bring back, being at the safety position. I think Tuck froze again. But yeah, being at the safety position is, it demands less money. I think that it's much easier to do that. But,
And I see it here because the lunatic, I'm just looking at the comments. It says you're restructuring him. Yeah, and that's the thing. He's on the wrong side of 30 now with the back surgeries, and that is no good. No good. Like, he's going to be 30. You look at his production, and again, I don't like throwing sacks when it comes to defensive ends because defensive ends do a lot more than just get sacked. That's more so your outside linebackers and maybe your defensive ends, or unless you're Aaron Donald and you're like a freak of a nature as a defensive tackle. that damn internet.
My son in there on the video games online. Doing something.
But to quickly wrap up what I got to say, I mean, look, you got 5 sacks, 6 sacks. You look at the tackles and tackles for loss. It just doesn't justify the price tag. And, that,
especially now with Micah doing both and then he getting –
right.
It made me look at him funny. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, Micah coming in and changing the dynamic, I'm like, bro, like, what you been doing these years?
Yeah,
but I don't mind. I do not mind keeping him though. I don't have a problem.
People got on me about my tweet. I was like, I didn't say the name, but I was like, Micah Parsons looks more explosive than has in the past 3 years. Like, that is what you pay that type of money for. That type of impact,
right?
But
that makes me want to go get another a guy who can play in the middle, so I can have him rush the pass.
Imagine if Micah was full time,
Can you imagine what the numbers would have looked like if he was there full time?
Right.
How he? Oh my god, dude, he would have.
That's why Nakobe Dean kind of just.
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
I don't mind that. Like, some people will be like another linebacker, but when you really think about it, like. If he's the best, like in a lot of my mock drafts, you're either going to be reaching for a tackle prospect that I'm not super comfortable with. Like, what is it? I'm looking at the names here. Like, where is it at? Like Trevor Penning. Not that he's bad or anything. It's just like I'm kind of like, you could get him at the tail end, but like I could feel like I would use Nakobe Dean a bit more. You know what I mean?
You get a lot more out of him.
Correct, and those conversations we're gonna have to have, and we'll see how these prospects look. But I don't think Nakobe Dean's gonna be there. But I said it during the championship game. I said, I wouldn't mind seeing him with Micah. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, then you get Jabril Cox coming back after injury too. So I mean,
there's 3 young, hungry linebackers out there. Just let them loose. Like,
yeah, definitely. But yeah, man, we're gonna wrap this up because I told you guys it would be an hour, but we went 15 minutes over, man. Tell these people where they can find you, man. It was an excellent show tonight. Honestly, I would like to probably continue it. Maybe next week if you guys are free or something like that, because I feel like there's still a lot of meat left on the bone as far as the things that we can do with this roster, the contracts, and maybe we get a little bit more draft talk in there because Friday nights for me is gonna be a lot of draft talk.
Yep, likewise.
Yeah, no problem. So,
yeah, appreciate you guys. Hey, look, these are these guys' handles right here. You can find them on Twitter. My guy J Tuck is Cowboy fans only. I'm pretty sure you guys know that. We got Space Cowboy. My guy, I hope YouTube doesn't screw you. I'm saying that now, YouTube.
Listen, man, I'm trying to get to 10K subs, and these guys are getting in the goddamn way. I'm like, yeah, man, someone's a hater.
Haters. They pulled out one of my old videos, like when I first started.
There's a bunch of people that got hit by some random dude. It's not just me.
I got hit randomly too off of an OTA video that I reacted to. Like I took some clips and I reacted to it, which should be fair use, but it is what it is, man.
Right.
Yeah.
But all right, y'all. Everybody, peace out. Have a great Friday night. You know, I don't know if you're gonna drink. I don't know if you're out partying or whatever, but you guys be safe and see you next Friday.
Peace.
See ya.